Dean and Tyler Listle are registered investment advisor representatives. Investment advisory services offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, and Secure Retirement Solutions, LLC are not affiliated companies.
It's time for Secure Retirement Solutions with your hosts, Dean and Tyler Listle, fully licensed retirement specialists from Secure Retirement Solutions in Green Bay. Now, here are your hosts, Dean and Tyler.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Tyler and I will discuss topics that affect your retirement, such as investments, income planning, Social Security, and much more. How are you this morning, Tyler?
Good morning, Dean. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Great. Thank you. We're going to talk today about some common Medicare and Social Security mistakes. Social Security and Medicare are both an important part of your retirement. We talk about it with each and every client that comes in the office. Some decisions you make are hard to reverse. Others, people tend to make some more common mistakes on. We're going to talk about some of those and some of the things you can do to keep from those mistakes. So to get started, we're going to look at the Medicare process first. But understand, Tyler and I do not work for Medicare or the Social Security Administration. We're financial advisors. And why do financial advisors talk about Medicare and Social Security all the time? It's a major part of your retirement. We model out Social Security options to make sure people are taking the option that is best for them based on their income, based on their debt, based on their health history. Same thing with Medicare. There are a lot of questions that come into play with Medicare. So we're going to look at some of the mistakes that we see in our office when people come in and what we do to offset some of those mistakes or set people on the right path. So the first one, when we talk about common Medicare mistakes, is not signing up for Medicare at age 65. That's the most common one we see. People have to realize first, in very basic terms, Medicare, people usually refer to Part A and Part B. Part A, we hear a lot of people say, that's the free one. Well, yes, in a way, you don't see it come from a benefit or you're not billed for it, but really it has come out of your payroll for years and years and years. But when you turn 65 years old, you sign up for Medicare Part A. Under certain situations, you don't. We'll discuss that. Medicare Part B we'll be looking at then too. And Medicare Part B is a benefit that typically comes out of your Social Security benefit, or you are billed if you don't have Social Security at that time. So when we look at not signing up for Medicare at age 65, when you turn 65 years old, you need to sign up for Medicare whether you are working or not, whether you have group insurance or not, with one exception, and that is dealing with a health savings account, which Tyler will talk about in a little later. But you have 7 months to sign up for Medicare Part A when you reach 65, 3 months prior to your 65th birthday, the month of your 65th birthday, or 3 months thereafter. So it's important to get signed up for Medicare at that particular time. You can either go down to the Social Security Administration office and sign up for Medicare down there, or you can go online to Medicare.gov or SSI.gov and do it online. So there are ways to do it. Remember to get signed up for it. Tyler, am I missing anything when it comes to signing up for Medicare Part A?
No, I think you covered things pretty well there, Dean. One other thing I wanted to mention is that a lot of people, they may already be receiving Social Security benefits. And if that's the case, they'll automatically be enrolled, if you're already receiving Social Security, in both Part A and Part B. But you can turn down Part B and sign up for it later, because Part B, again, that's the medical insurance. That's your preventative care, lab tests, x-rays, medical equipment, different things like that you pay a monthly premium for. And obviously, if you're still employed through group health or you're under your spouse's insurance, then there's no point in paying that Part B premium if you're already covered. So keep in mind that you can turn down Part B and sign up for it later. So that's the main thing there, is that you can delay Part B when you turn 65.
Okay, so you bring up a good point. Part B, that is the second mistake we see quite often when we talk to people about Medicare, and that is some people forget to sign up for Part A. People also forget to sign up for Part B. However, if you forget to sign up for Part B, there could be a penalty imposed on your premiums as you go forward. So what happens here is, let's say you are working, you have group health, or your spouse has group health and you're covered. But it gets to the point where you want to retire. And if you're of Medicare age 65 and older and you retire, you're going to go on to Medicare and typically take a supplement or an Advantage plan. But at that particular time, after 65 years old and you come off of group health, you need to sign up for Part B. Now, Part B, if you forget to sign up, you have, I think, 8 months after you retire from a group health situation to sign up for Part B. And again, if you don't, you could be penalized 10% late enrollment penalty on your premiums going forward. So Part B, a snapshot of that, what it is you, when you retire, Part B takes care of the office visits, as Tyler said, versus Part A, the hospitalization. With the Part B, if you're already drawing Social Security at that particular time, Part B will automatically come out of your Social Security benefit. You will see that your Social Security is reduced once you start taking Part B. If you're not drawing Social Security at the time that you have to get Part B coverage for Medicare, you will be billed on a quarterly basis, and you'll have to pay that out of pocket. So get signed up for Part B. You need to make sure that that is in place once you retire from a group health situation and you're 65 and older.
Yeah, and Dean, like I said before, if you're already receiving Social Security benefits, then you're automatically going to be enrolled in both Part A and Part B, but you can turn down Part B. You can delay that and sign up for it later. Well, there's where the problem comes in. Many people delay it, they turn it down, then they forget to sign up for it later after leaving their job, and that's where they could pay a 10% penalty on all Part B premiums for the rest of their life going forward, which could amount to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in penalties over their lifetime. So you don't want to do that. The other thing that you had mentioned as well is that you need to sign up for Part B within 8 months after leaving your job, or else you have to wait until the next enrollment period, which is January through March, with coverage beginning July 1st. So you could, if you forget to sign up for Part B after leaving your job, there could be a point there where you could go several months without coverage, and you don't want to go a day without coverage in today's health insurance environment, just with the cost that could run you. So you never want to go for any period without coverage, but you could be without coverage if you forget to sign up. So that should be on your checklist when you do retire. You always want to make sure that you have Part A and Part B both taken care of, and then obviously a supplement as well at that point. But again, don't forget to sign up for Part B after leaving your job.
Okay, and the next mistake, which is quite common, people don't factor in the Part B amount that they are going to lose from their Social Security benefit once Part B comes into play. We'll have people ask, why did my Social Security benefit go down? Well, did you go into Part B with your Medicare? Yes, that is the reason it went down. So, for instance, right now, going forward, most people will have about $134 taken from their Social Security benefit on a monthly basis to pay for your Part B premium with Medicare. And what that means is each and every month, like I said, your benefit for Social Security will go down to offset you having a premium in place. At certain times, you will have people say, well, why is my premium with Part B going up from the $134? First thing we'll ask is, have you drawn money from an IRA? Have you taken on substantial income? Because your Part B premium is based on income. It can go up as high as $187.50 all the way up to, almost $430 depending. So what you want to do is talk to your financial advisor and find out which accounts you should be pulling money from if you want to take money out for a substantial purchase, because it can affect not only your Social Security benefit, okay, but it can increase your Medicare premium. So Medicare Part B premium, that is. So be careful with that. However, again, if you have a financial plan, we put together financial plans to offset this. We show people here's where we should be pulling from in order to be as tax efficient as possible, and also to keep our Social Security in line and our Medicare Part B premiums. So if people need to pull money, Tyler, and they want to make sure that their premiums stay down for Part B, and in many situations, Social Security, what do we recommend? Yeah,
Dean, first off, we always want to be cautious when someone talks about taking a large withdrawal from a taxable retirement account like an IRA, a 401k, a 403b. any retirement account that's fully taxable, which those that I just mentioned are. So, for example, it happens to all of us, whether we want to get a new car, we need a new roof, medical bills, whatever it may be, where we have to take a large sum of money in retirement out of a retirement account. Well, let's say if you need $20,000 and you take it from your IRA, that full $20,000 is taxable, shows up as taxable income on your tax return, and that could bump up your Part B premiums if it puts you over the income level. Now, if you're single and you have adjusted gross income of $85,000 or more, or $170,000 married filing jointly, then you're going to have an increase in your premium. So a good idea might be a Roth IRA. And we talk about Roth IRAs a lot on the show for their flexibility. And this is another example of how flexible they can be. You can take $20,000. I'll go back to that number. You can take $20,000 out of a Roth IRA, whether you need it for a new car, new roof, an appliance, whatever it may be, and not a penny of that withdrawal will show up as taxable income on your tax return because Roth IRAs are tax-free. You don't have to pay any taxes on it, so that way you can take a large sum to pay for things without worrying about your Part B premiums going up based on that income.
Also cash positions too, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay. The next thing we want to talk about is when we started the show, we said that you need to sign up for Medicare Part A when you turn 65 years old, either 3 months prior, the month of, or 3 months after your 65th birthday. However, if you are working and contributing to an HSA, a health savings account, you do not have to sign up for Medicare at that time. If you do sign up for Medicare at that time, you can no longer contribute to an HSA. So that's very important to know. And we're really bullish. We like the idea of people contributing to HSAs. As Tyler said, with the current environment we have with health insurance and the premiums, we can't afford to make mistakes. As much money as you can put into an HSA, it's good for you.
Yeah, Dean, HSAs, they're becoming more and more popular. It seems like each and every year. HSA, again, stands for Health Savings Account. And, again, you can save up money in there and then use it to pay for different healthcare expenses and whatnot. But if you are currently contributing to one, you're still working, and you turn 65 years old, this is the one case where you're going to want to delay signing up for Part A, the freebie. If obviously you're still covered under your group plan, under group health, and you still want to contribute to your HSA, by all means, go ahead and do it, but then delay signing up for Part A, because once you do sign up for Part A, Medicare Part A, you can no longer contribute to your HSA. So this is a one case here where you're going to want to delay Part A if you still plan on contributing to a health savings account. Okay.
Good. Before we go on to the next Medicare mistake that we see quite often, we're going to take a quick break.
You're listening to Dean and Tyler Listle, investment advisors with Secure Retirement Solutions located on Allied Street in Green Bay. For a complimentary review of your current investments, or if you have questions, please call them at 920-347-9888 or go to their website at srsplans.com.
Okay, thank you. We're back. We're going to talk about the last mistake we typically see when it comes to Medicare, and that is keeping your Part D plan on autopilot. This is a big one. We see this very, very often. Part D, for those of you who don't know, think of D for drugs, okay? It's prescription drugs. And if you have a Medicare supplement, you're going to go out and get a Part D. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, many times it's built in. But let's look at the Part D plan. We will talk to clients who have had a Part D plan, and many times they get it from the same company that they have their Medicare supplement from. You don't have to do that, by the way. You can get a Part D plan from somebody else if it's cheaper. You don't have to stay with the same company. But having said that, we will see people with a Part D plan for 10 or 15 years, and they've never shopped to see if there's a better Part D plan. And that's a mistake because Part D plans change all the time. Part of the reason is a lot of pharmaceuticals are cyclical. They are more expensive at certain times, not quite as expensive at other times. So you want to make sure that you are getting a plan that is affordable and isn't on autopilot and just keeps going up in price each and every year. So the other thing, too, is you might go on to new meds. You might go on to generic versions over premium brand, and that is going to affect how much you pay. If you'd like, each and every year during the open enrollment period between October 15th and December 7th, we invite people to come into our office. We go right on to Medicare.gov, and then we will look at the cost of your medications you're on and find out if your Part D is really best suited for you. So we recommend everybody who has a Medicare supplement, has a Part D, should price it out each and every year. And again, we go right to Medicare.gov, pull it up on a screen, and let the client, make their decision. It's just a helpful service. But do not keep your Part D plan on autopilot. Price it out each and every year. Also, one last thing, when it comes to Part D, many times it's the pharmacy themselves that increase certain prices. So, for instance, you could be going to a certain pharmacy for 2 or 3 years. You're very happy with them. They're local. You feel good going there, but they might be more expensive than 5, 6, 7, 8 other pharmacies in the area. So many times, depending on where you go, determines some of the prices you're going to pay too. And by pricing out your Part D and going on Medicare.gov to see that, you will find pharmacies that are cheaper than others. So each and every year, you can go to a different pharmacy if you need to. Yeah, Dean, and just to throw a few things in there. Again, the cost and coverage of Part D drug plans, they can vary a lot each year. Some of them, they increase premiums more than others. They increase your share of the drug cost, and again, require different pharmacies for the best rate. So each year, open enrollment between October 15th and December 7th is a good time to shop around and review all options with Part D. And one other thing is that, especially if you've been prescribed new medications or your medications have gone generic over the past year, a new plan definitely might be better suited for you. So again, keep that in mind. New medications, or if you have medications that went generic, those are two different factors that factor in terms of shopping for a Part D plan. Okay. So we talked about Medicare and some of the mistakes that we see that are quite often. Now let's talk about some of the Social Security mistakes. Again, why do we deal with Social Security and Medicare? Because it's a major part of your retirement, especially Social Security. For years and years and years, financial advisors refer to the three-legged stool when it comes to your income when you retire. First leg of that stool is Social Security benefit that has accumulated over the years. The second leg of that stool is personal pension. And unfortunately, we don't see a lot of people with personal pensions anymore. So that is one leg that is becoming quite weak. And then the third leg would be your own retirement plan, such as 401ks and IRAs. So if Social Security is so important that it's one of those three legs of that financial stool when you retire, you need to spend time on it and make sure that you understand Social Security. Do not make a quick decision in filing Social Security because somebody at work told you this is the way to do it, or you hear somebody on the radio or TV say that you need to wait till this particular time. You cannot make a decision unless you look at your own situation, your health history, longevity, look at your debt situation, your other income. What do you plan on doing? Do you want to travel a lot? Do you stay home? So, there are things like that you need to look at before you file Social Security. So going forward, the number one mistake we see is people unfortunately don't work long enough in their lifetime. Social Security is based on having 35 years of work to accumulate in the formula that pays you out your Social Security benefit. So if you work less than 35 years, let's say you work 30 years of your life, what's going to happen is you're going to have 5 years of zero income showing into that formula for your Social Security. So we tell people, the basic line here is you want to have 35 years of labor. Now, if you work 40 years, what's going to happen is 5 of your lesser paying years will be kicked out of that formula. So again, 35 years is what you'd like to get to establish your Social Security benefit. Yeah, good points there, Dean. And again, if you have less than 35 years, those missing years of earnings, they'll factor into the formula as zero. So even part-time work can help. That can factor in and bump out those zeros, but you want to try and get rid of those zeros if you can to get your to get the largest benefit. And another thing too, there's good news because those zeros that can be replaced with a year of earnings, no matter your age,
And those 35 years, they also don't have to be consecutive back-to-back-to-back years for 35 years. So we see it quite often with, a caregiver or, a mother who has children, and she may spend some years off work and then come back. Well, they don't have to be 35 consecutive. You can be out of work, come back, work part-time, be out of work again. So they don't have to be consecutive years, but any type of, whether it's part-time job, full-time, whatever it is, can factor into those 35 years of earnings.
Okay, good. Another one that we see here when it comes to some of the mistakes is claiming Social Security benefits too early or too late. Okay. Again, I just explained that it's a personal situation. Sit down and have a financial advisor, model out your Social Security options, identify what is going to be best for you. Sometimes people will say, I heard on the radio you shouldn't be filing Social Security till 70, so that's what I'm going to do. And when I sit down and I look at their financial situation, I say, okay, if you're going to retire at 62 and not take Social Security to 70, what are you going to live off of? Well, I'm going to pull from my IRAs and my 401k and so on. Okay, in theory, that sounds good. But when we start looking at the amount of income that you can pull from those particular investments, you might run your investments down too substantially before your Social Security kicks in. The other thing you need to do is look at, if you do have a pension, where are you best served? Maybe triggering a pension first, Social Security second. Don't know what the rate is that your pension will grow each and every year that it's deferred. But if you look at Social Security, between 62 and your full retirement age, which is 66, 67 years old, it grows by approximately 6% each and every year up until that time. And if you still don't take it between your full retirement age, which is 66 or 67 to 70 years old, it grows by 8%. So you can look at a 6 or an 8%, rate each and every year that it's going to grow. So you take those things into consideration. So claiming Social Security benefits too early or too late can be a mistake. Sit down with a professional, have them model it out for you.
Yeah, and a few things to go along with that, Dean, for our listeners. Again, the earliest that you can claim benefits, Social Security, is age 62. And if your full retirement age is, let's say, 66 right now, and your benefit, and you take your benefit at 62 when you didn't necessarily need to, then your monthly benefit will be cut by 25% for the rest of your life. So from 62 till your full retirement age, each year you delay, it grows by about 6% per year. So a little example here, if your full retirement age benefit is $2,000 a month at 66 years old and you claim at 62, so you claim your benefit early, then you're going to only get around $1,500 per month for the rest of your life. So that's a $500 monthly decrease for the rest of your life. On the other end, if your full retirement age benefit, again, is $2,000 a month at 66 years old, and you claim at 70, so you actually delay, and every year from your full retirement age until 70 that you delay, it grows by about 8% per year, then you're going to get around $2,640 per month for life as opposed to $2,000. So that's an extra $640 per month for the rest of your life. But again, there's always going to be a break-even point. And what I mean by that is, for example, if someone filed at 62 versus if they would have waited until 68, maybe the break-even point is when they turn 78 years old, for example. At 78, they would, and every year thereafter, they'd be collecting more cumulative benefits if they had filed later at 68 versus 62. And again, it all comes down to how long you're going to live. And most people, they don't know that. So there's advantages to waiting, and there's also advantages to taking it earlier. And again, some people, they're forced to claim early due to losing a job and not being able to find work. They also may be in poor health, and they could claim it early. Or even if you're a lower earning spouse, you can claim early and then switch to a higher survivor benefit down the road when your spouse passes away at that time. So there's no one size fits all, so to speak, when it comes to when to claim Social Security. Because sure, if you claim them later, if you wait until 70, if you can wait that long, you're going to get the highest possible benefit for the rest of your life. But oftentimes we see people can't afford to wait that long. They want to retire before then, and they need the income now. Then they really don't have any other choice but to collect earlier. And a lot of people can make it work throughout their whole retirement, claiming benefits at age 62. So again, you never want to have one thing set in stone. You want to be flexible here and really you want to plan for it and make it work that way.
Okay. One of the other mistakes we see, unfortunately, if somebody loses a spouse, they don't realize that they can get widow's benefits. The other thing, too, is you go through an unfortunate situation of a divorce. There are many times where you can take benefit from your ex-spouse if that benefit is higher than yours. So there's certain things that come into play there. When you are looking at widow's benefits, it's in basic terms, what happens here is you will get a portion of your deceased spouse's benefit, which allows yours not to be taken. Yours can continue to defer and grow. When I say yours, your Social Security benefit. And then at a certain age, when it exceeds that of the widow's benefits, you can then go to your own benefit. Same thing when it comes to divorce benefits. In simplistic terms, basically, if you've been married for 10 years and you have not remarried after a divorce, you may have benefits that you can draw from your ex-spouse. And again, that situation would be nice to be able to draw, especially if your ex-spouse made substantially more than you in Social Security benefits, and allow your own benefit to continue to defer and grow, and then you can start taking your own as it becomes larger than the benefit you were getting from your ex-spouse.
Good points there, Dean. One thing that I want to point out with widow's benefits here is that, and this is a misconception that some people have, is that if one spouse passes away, then the surviving spouse, they receive the higher of the two benefits. So you can only keep one. You can't keep both. And some people are under the wrong impression that when a spouse passes away, the surviving spouse gets to keep both of the Social Security benefits. But that's wrong, because what happens at that point is that when a spouse passes away, the surviving spouse gets to keep the higher of the two benefits. The lower one goes away at that time. So you can only keep one, not both. And that's what you want to always be sure to plan for that as well, because if one spouse dies, you're going to lose a Social Security benefit, which could be $1,000 or more per month. So you want to factor that into your financial plan. Make sure that your spouse is always protected, even if you lose a Social Security benefit.
Okay, and one of the other mistakes we see is some people assume that once they file for Social Security, they can never redo it. And in most situations, you really cannot do over some of your filing options. But there are situations where you can. And an example, if you went out and filed Social Security too early and quickly realized that it was a mistake, you're not going to have enough income to properly retire for the rest of your life based on when you started taking Social Security. Provided it's within 12 months of when you filed, you can pay that money back and start over. So basically, you pay the money back, and your Social Security will then start to grow again, and then you can draw it at a later date. And we actually saw this, a couple times. We have a client, 65 years old. His name is Gary. Gary had a professional position, doing very well, and unfortunately lost his job. So for a couple of months, he looked for another job, but he figured at 65 years old, getting close to 66 years old, nobody would hire him. Based on his financial plan, we ran things, figured out, we could take Social Security at his full retirement age. Let's do that. Filed Social Security. And a couple months later, he called me up and he said, "Dean, you won't believe this, but my competitor found out that I was on the street without a job, offered me a 30% raise over what I was making. I want to go back to work." So what we did is have him go through the process with the Social Security Administration. He paid back his benefits. It was in that window where he could do it. And he's continuing to work and actually got a nice raise out of it, too.
Yeah, very, very good example there, Dean. And I know when people think of a do-over, you always think of you have to do it over because your retirement and Social Security filing was poorly planned, and you realize you have to go back to work shortly after filing for benefits. That's what many people think when they think of this do-over. Well, it can also, like you mentioned, it could also be an option without poor planning where you lose your job, and here everything is fine. You can retire comfortably and file for Social Security at 65 years old and be just fine. But then if a competitor comes knocking at your door knowing that you're unemployed and they want to hire you, it's a good option here. You can easily withdraw your application within 12 months and then simply pay back all the benefits you've already received. And that's your do-over, so to speak, at that point.
Okay, Medicare and Social Security can be daunting for a lot of people. We tell people don't take it personally, but you're probably not real good at it because you've never done it before. Okay, there's one time you file for Social Security, one time typically for Medicare. So if you have questions like that, give our office a call. We're located in Green Bay, 3040 Allied Street. And our phone number is 920-347-9888. Give us a call. We'll sit down and talk Medicare and Social Security with you, see if we can help you out there and give you some direction. Well, folks, that's all the time we have this week. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week.
We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Secure Retirement Solutions with your hosts, Dean and Tyler Listle, fully licensed retirement specialists from Secure Retirement Solutions in Green Bay. To get more information from Dean and Tyler, contact them at Secure Retirement Solutions on Allied Street in Green Bay. Call 920-347-9888 or visit them at srsplans.com. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services is not an affiliated company.